Everyone. Thank you so much, Laura, for having me. It's such a pleasure to be part of this series. I'm going to be reading some poems from my collection, Nautilus and Bone. I just wanted to say a few things before I got started. I kind of feel like I'm on Pacific time right now just because I went to bed really late last night. So I'm with you there in spirit in a number of ways. Um, so Nautilus and Bone, just a brief introduction. It launched almost 5 years to the day on October 20th, 2020. That's when it came out. So I wanted to do something to mark the occasion. And then just amazingly enough, I was invited to be part of this wonderful series. So it just felt sort of auspicious to me in a way. The book tells the story of Anna Margolin, an early 20th century Yiddish poet who was born Rosa Lebensbaum and immigrated from Russia to New York in the early 1900s. And the subtitle of the book is an auto slash biography in poems because it really does feel like a composite in many ways of my story and Anna Margolin's intertwined. I'd like to dedicate this reading to the memory of Shirley Kumov, who was Anna Margolin's translator, and she passed away at the age of 92 last year. And I had the honor not only of meeting her, but becoming her friend. And she read an early draft of the manuscript and gave it her blessing, which meant the world to me. So this is for Shirley. The other thing I'd like to mention is that although there was a ceasefire recently, there is a huge need for relief in Palestine right now, following 2 years of brutal genocide. And so, what I would like to do, I have only 3 copies left of this book with the National Jewish Book Award sticker. And if anybody would like to purchase a copy, I will make a donation of $10 to Palestinian relief efforts through Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. So if anybody would be interested in that, I'm selling them for $25, including shipping, and $10 of that I will be donating to Palestinian relief efforts. Or if anybody wants to purchase a copy of Nautilus and Bone through your local independent bookstore or through the Frontenac House website, just email me. I'll put my email in the chat after my reading and just send me a copy of your receipt and I will make a donation to help the relief efforts in Gaza, which I believe, especially as a Jewish writer, are very important for me to speak out about right now. So with that being said, let's hear some poems. I'm just setting my timer so that keep an eye on the time. So I said before I did this reading that I was going to read poems from the collection that I haven't read before. And as I was preparing for it, I was flipping through this book and it was good to spend some time with this girl again. And I was like, you know what? Actually, I've read pretty much everything, but what I haven't done is I haven't read the sonnet sequence in the end as one long continuous poem, which is something that I've always wanted to do. It's a crown of sonnets, which means that it's 14 linked sonnets where the last line of one is the beginning line of the next, and the 15th is composite of the first lines of the 14 preceding, so that it sort of like comes back and makes a crown in the end. And the title of the sequence is Beshert, a Yiddish word which means one's soulmate or destiny. These poems, again, are written in the voice of the poet Anna Margolin, addressing her final or third common law spouse, Reuben. Beshert. Reuben, my heart's in slivers, rotting floorboards ripped up plank by plank. In your absence, I'm shipwrecked, flung into monsters' mouths, disgorged onto sandbanks, crystal sweat soaking my fevered sleep. In your presence, I'm the cypress trees of Palestine, the date palms fringing Jaffa's backwater streets, where 5 years ago I fled Stavsky. May he dine with dogs. Leeches should suckle his tuberous feet. With you, my tongue's unchained. In your bed, I'm rebirthed, dovetail through tunnels into crystal chasms. I unclasp my wetted lips, Feel the watershed of our love's fuse. In wavering grasses, new poems wrestle. Reuben, escape your wife. It's time for your exodus. Together we'll torch marriage's bourgeois offices. 2. We'll torch marriage's bourgeois offices. I'll leave Hirsch. Let's shack up, lewd and lavish. Two bohemians living at love's peak altitude. Our kisses like kindling. Meine Leb, I'm dervished for you. Desire skewers me every moon-swept night. We do not tango down Delancey, beneath gas lamps burning with encased stars that collude and indict us for our schisms. You besiege my dreams, trample my kempt grass, grazing leaflets as we genuflect towards each other's oracles. I awaken monsooned. You call yourself a poet? Feh. What poet deflects love's blows, husbands himself loveless, marooned, sidesteps rocky slopes and garrulous shadows? Go ahead, maintain your slog through muddy shallows. 3. Go ahead, maintain your slog through muddy shallows, while the violet sea bellows in your ears, lunges at your vitals. Who needs poor Anna? Fool who follows the heart's fickle rhythms, abides by its hinges. I'll throw myself off the Brooklyn Bridge before I march in perjury's parade, masked in your Venetian facade, resign myself to genteel spectacle. Forget starched collars, all this meshuggah milk toast, your stilted charade. A madwoman, I know you think me. Succubus, wench. A man you would so readily deem unhinged? Go on, shake your head, cast your eyes floorward, flinching when I pronounce our covert love deranged. Go, run back to her, cruel jailer of your cemented heart. Before long, you'll uproot, declare me your beshirt. 4. Before long, you'll uproot, declare I'm your beshirt. When I pronounce you the spit and zest of my life, I don't mean the only man to quench my quaint thirsts. You're not the only lover who slaked my knife need for moaning rose sweat, who's launched me lustward. Darling, you're not my first black fedora, not my first swig of gin. Other men have punched this ticket, ventured deep into my fauna and flora. And yet, it's well known that when certain fruits are salted, their taste more pungently bursts, more nuanced to the tongue. Having loved before, let us vault into each other's clutches, knowing how well chance cheats lovers, rewards the sun's out of cloud forays, allows gold to butter your lips' salt waves. 5. Allow gold to butter your lips' salt waves? What is the weight of the boulder my blood longs, despite the petulant rules of logic, to heave up a mountain's flank? For a woman, it's deemed crude to write as I do, of wayward hands and molten tongues, compose odes to mingled juices, caresses torched with anarchic haste. The war-gashed world shudders, wounds still agape, the gutted soil reeking of scorched tissue, battered bone. No death mask condemns waiting for fresh ink to dry on the page, could possibly condone discreet restraint, appropriate distance, banal mating ritual, and courtly gesture. Strokes of hand and nib combine. Who can tell where one ends and the other begins? Love unhinges our gasping, rinses night of its sins. 6. Love unhinges our gasping, rinses night of the sins we wring from gutter wet rags, from the rumpled days we drum our solemn fingers on, cramped streets, clanging trolleys, revving motor cars. Orphans in newsboy caps hawk the evening rag. Pedestrians on Broadway cut a stunning swath of all that's tamped down and ground into rust. Coupled now, do we tremble more or less than we did when apart? Do we fasten captured black and topaz wings with tender precision to each other's breasts, erupt in rapture? At times, I pine for the days when we secretly ravaged one another, schemed for the day we'd surrender, knowing how freedom binds and fractures us both in silk-webbed seas, where we learn to drown or wander. 7. In silk-webbed seas where we drown or learn to wander, I found myself floundering. Know how quick a foe's revenge, our own minds. Coiled vapors await in the furrows we're always foraging. Anything but face the hunger that claws at innards, quell the grief that staggers blind through aubergine dark. Who can sidestep morose thoughts or leanings? Young pishers, we're not. What grows from this need to breathe deep the rank wind's anger, this kelp green rage of what our furies bawl and squawk? So removed from Paris cafes, the crumbled streets of Warsaw I've haunted, all the crushing floods I've fled. Perhaps dreams of lustrous pearl, divers map unfurling in fogged sleep. With you, I've no need to entomb those tumbled urns, no need to embellish what blisters and burns. 8. No need to embellish all that blistered and burned. I bundle the past's kindling, stash its contents in corners, stuff rags into cracks the blurred wind crowbars into. All that matters, you contend, is where we've come to live. Uncrushed breath, chests hibiscus flushed, morning eggs newly broken, bright yolks swimming in a blue bowl, fresh lilies, your splurge awaiting me on our Brooklyn table. Chocolate on tongue, slow melt of defenses. What is this strange pleasure bleeding into my poems as spring in my girlhood forest undressed expanses of crocus and truffle? Not far, we'd find the ravaged bones of animals, relics and portents of winter's lethal sleep. I brace for colder seasons, love, your inevitable retreat. 9. I brace for colder seasons, your inevitable retreat. What's keeping you from leaving me alone and exiled, groveling for touch as a wayward gutter child begs a thimble of milk? Uninvited, mythical beasts emerge from wood grain and stovepipe, trampling any doubt the world implants that meddling tricksters lurk in our midst. Demons attempt to unhook my dresses, cast me into foaming cauldrons, topple the glass pyramids that daily I scale to seduce the blank slate. I fumble for your slumbering body, cleaving to your warmth, lest in my zeal I succumb to unearthly naysayers, invisible cynics, their stale parodies of our soft words, stroked faces, how enmeshed we meet. Bring on the snow, the icy wind. We'll be in bed, asleep. Bring on the snow, the icy wind. We'll be in bed, asleep until we shore our storm-lashed raft on an island the stars roared into being, swept seaward out from Madagascar's curve. We tongue the names of moon phases, the steepled tower keeping watch over the village's crumbling walls, ancient burial grounds where the bones of kings and nomads sprout mysterious trees bearing fruit we're forbidden to taste. My snout in earth, I root among letters, old books, detritus of Dalmatian, Druidic, Slavonic tongues. Past lovers I revive from extinct texts for proof they didn't come from dreams. Comet streak light trails between my breasts, down to the rocking slips of vessels once docked in churning waters. Forgive me, young man I vexed beyond reason. Forgive the tooth marks I left in headless heat. The fields we trek are barren, scattered with ruined temples. I'm going to leave I'm going to leave it there, but I'm going to read as just kind of like a last minute impulse, a poem from my new book. It's kind of a teaser, I guess. If you're anything like me, that the title bleeds into the first line of the poem. If you're anything like me when it comes to the world wonders, you have coveted a Japanese style corn dog, stirred with chopsticks in a deep fryer's crackling pool, turned over and over until smooth and borderline otherworldly. You've understandably squandered your choicest truffles on dubious masterminds, having fucked your fair share of Lotharios turned disc jockeys, transported into your bed from an alternate universe in which dinner parties are collision courses and destination weddings overwhelm the humdrum microbes spawned by phalanxes of traffic cops. But regardless, you strip down to your nervous system and performed acts deemed illegal in three of the lesser known Stan republics. And I will leave it at that. Thank you so much.